Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Did you know that cranial deformation was actually a widespread phenomenon found all over the globe? It's shocking, isn't it? To achieve this look, parents would literally press an infant's soft head between heavy stones or wooden boards. Just imagine that for a second. What if the baby is left permanently disabled? Or worse, what if they don't survive at all? How could they possibly justify taking such a terrifying risk? Next, look at China's foot binding. To keep feet tiny, they actually broke the bones of young girls. Imagine that every single step felt like walking on broken glass. These women could barely walk. Can you imagine the sheer misery of their daily lives? Now, look at Myanmar. Here, women wear heavy brass rings to stretch their necks. But here's the shocking truth. The neck doesn't actually grow. Instead, the heavy weight literally crushes the collarbones and ribcage downward. Can you feel that pressure? Imagine your own bones being pushed down every single day. Wouldn't that be incredibly painful and suffocating? Why would they endure such constant agony? Lastly, look at this tribe in Ethiopia. They wear massive plates in their lower lips. The first thing you'd wonder is, how on earth do they eat? To make this work, they often have to remove their front teeth. Just imagine the struggle of every single meal. Is Homo sapiens actually stupid? Why on earth would we choose to inflict such agonizing pain on ourselves? Ready for another shock? We always assume Homo sapiens is the smartest, but let's put that to the test. It's time for a memory showdown, human against chimp. First, we teach a chimpanzee to recognize numbers. Then, we flash those numbers on a monitor for just 0.5 seconds. After the numbers disappear from the monitor, the chimpanzee must press them in ascending order from memory. Now, look at this. Just watch the speed as this chimpanzee touches the numbers in order, relying purely on memory. It's not just fast, it's instantaneous.
Who actually won?
In this race of raw memory, the chimp didn't just win, it completely destroyed us. The truth is, Homo sapiens isn't as intelligent as we've always believed. Think about it. Individually, we aren't particularly strong fighters. We aren't even that smart compared to other primates, as we just saw. How did this weak, slow, and surprisingly average species Homo sapiens come to dominate every corner of this planet? Tonight, right here at the Starlight Library, I am going to reveal that very secret to you. We are going to find those answers in Joseph Henrich's groundbreaking book, The Secret of Our Success. Let's be honest. Humans are weaker than elephants and slower than cheetahs. We don't even have the natural instincts to tell which plants are poisonous and which are safe. Yet somehow, we crossed the plains of Africa and conquered every single environment on Earth. You might think the secret to this success is our massive brains and superior individual intelligence. However, the reason we dominate the planet isn't because you or I are particularly smart on our own. Are we smarter apes? As we saw earlier, in terms of short-term memory, we are actually far inferior to chimpanzees. We are not overwhelmingly smarter than chimpanzees. In fact, when it comes to spatial awareness, understanding quantities, or grasping cause and effect, humans and chimps are remarkably similar, and in some tests, we actually fall behind. There is only one field where Homo sapiens is overwhelmingly superior: social learning. That's it. This incredible social learning ability comes from our innate power to imitate. Let me introduce a famous experiment that proves this. Imagine a caregiver sitting right in front of a tiny infant. The caregiver sticks his tongue out. The baby, watching this carefully, sticks its own tongue out in the exact same way. Next, the caregiver opens his mouth wide, and then the baby responds, opening its own tiny mouth to match the adult perfectly. And for the final part of the experiment, the caregiver purses their lips and pouts. The infant pokes its own tiny lips out. It's a perfect copy. Think about it. This baby hasn't even learned how to hold a spoon yet, but it can already read another person's face and mirror their complex movements. This is the unique imitative ability of Homo sapiens. No other animal on this planet can do. This imitative ability is the key to our survival and cultural success. Social learning is the power to identify exactly who to learn from and what to copy. Our brains are constantly scanning, unconsciously searching for the person with the best information. We don't just copy anyone. We look for the individuals who receive prestige. We imitate those who are successful. We have an instinctive drive to learn from those who are like us. We naturally look for people who share our group identity or our gender. To distinguish who to learn from and who to ignore, different tribes began to mark their bodies with unique identifiers. This led to the creation of diverse cultural practices, such as cranial deformation, foot binding, elongated necks, and lip plates. These striking physical features served as a clear signal, helping people recognize members of their own group. By looking at these marks, individuals could easily decide who was a reliable model to imitate and who was an outsider to be avoided. It was a powerful way to define the boundaries of social learning. In the modern world, we no longer rely on physical alterations. Instead, we use clothing and accessories to signal our status. These markers allow anyone to instantly recognize and imitate figures of authority, such as a pope or a king. The same logic applies to luxury goods. Why do people spend tens of thousands of dollars on high-end clothes and handbags? It is for the similar reason. The power of imitation allows us to find the right answer, even when we don't understand the why. A perfect example is the relationship between corn and pellagra. When corn becomes a primary food source, a serious nutritional problem arises: a deficiency in vitamin B3, also known as niacin. Without enough niacin, people suffer from pellagra, a terrifying disease that leads to diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia, and eventually, death. The irony is that corn does contain niacin, but it is chemically bound so our bodies cannot absorb it. However, if you mix an alkaline substance, like wood ash, into the cooking process, the niacin is released and becomes absorbable. Without knowing anything about chemistry, indigenous cultures developed the tradition of adding ash to their corn, effectively preventing pellagra for generations. Many Europeans, who looked down on these traditional cultures without understanding them, paid the ultimate price. They died. They dismissed the ash-mixing process as a primitive superstition, not realizing it was a sophisticated life-saving technology. This teaches us a profound lesson. Culture holds survival wisdom that no single individual could ever figure out in a lifetime. We don't survive because we are geniuses. We survive because we are smart enough to trust the traditions of our ancestors, even when we don't understand the why behind them. In Korean tradition, when a baby is born, we hang a Korean traditional taboo rope to control the entry of outsiders. In the past, people said it was to ward off evil spirits, but in reality, it was a profound wisdom to prevent infectious diseases from spreading to the vulnerable newborn. Our ancestors did not know about the existence of germs, but they increased the survival rate of the community through the culture. Similarly, we have cultural taboos against incest. The Habsburg family of Europe was famous for their deformed Habsburg jaw, and hemophilia is a well-known genetic disorder resulting from inbreeding. To prevent such biological disasters, cultures created strict rules against marrying close relatives. These practices prove that culture is a survival wisdom that can only be understood by looking deep beneath the surface. Homo sapiens began their true evolution through the accumulation of culture. Imagine a mutant chimpanzee with genius-level intelligence who invents something groundbreaking. When that genius chimp dies, its knowledge disappears forever. Animals can only pass down information through biological DNA. In contrast, Homo sapiens transmit culture to the next generation through language, writing, and various records. We don't just mimic, we imitate the knowledge of others and then add our own improvements on top of it. This creates a powerful cycle of cumulative cultural evolution that no other species can match. The evolution of accumulating culture has created modern scientific and technological civilization and shaped the Homo sapiens of today. Believe it or not, our culture has rewritten our very own DNA. You've probably seen someone who just can't handle dairy. That's because their body lacks the enzyme called lactase. While every human is born with the biological switch to digest milk, nature's original plan was to flip that switch off once we grew up. Once we grow up, drinking a glass of milk can turn into a total stomach disaster. In regions like Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Africa where pastoralism and dairy farming have been practiced for a long time, a genetic mutation occurred that allows people to produce the lactase enzyme to drink milk. The culture of herding has changed the genes. Another example is the different eye colors of Northern Europeans and Eskimos living at the same latitude. Strong sunlight destroys folate, a key factor in DNA formation, so people near the equator produce more melanin to protect their skin. Sunlight also helps synthesize vitamin D for strong bones, so as latitude increases, skin becomes fairer to aid this synthesis. Northern Europeans with less melanin often develop blue eyes as a result. However, Eskimos at the same latitude are different. Why? Unlike Northern Europeans who rely on agriculture, Eskimos have a culture centered on eating fish rich in vitamin D, so they have no reason to reduce melanin. This is why their skin is darker, and they do not have blue eyes. Food culture has changed skin and eye color. Another important example is the reduction of the digestive system and the expansion of brain capacity due to the use of fire. Cooking food with fire made digestion much easier, allowing energy to be redirected from the gut to the brain. As our digestive organs shrank, our brain size increased significantly. Thanks to the civilization we created, we have neither sharp claws nor fur to block the cold. Our digestive systems are too short, and our jaws and teeth have become so weak that we cannot survive without cooked food. Culture has become our instinct for survival. Without culture, Homo sapiens has become a being that cannot survive even a single day in the wild. Animals survive through the instincts of their genes, which can only be passed down to offspring through DNA. Homo sapiens are different. Our ability for social cooperation created culture. This culture is accumulated and transmitted to future generations, leading to even more advanced levels of culture. Culture has even changed our genes, to the point where we can no longer survive without it. Let's compare Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Neanderthals, who lived in the same era as Homo sapiens, were superior in terms of physical build and brain capacity. So how did Neanderthals go extinct while Homo sapiens succeeded? The secret lies in the, quote, size of the collective brain. While Neanderthals lived in small, isolated groups, Homo sapiens formed large-scale social networks and accumulated culture through cooperation. In the end, it wasn't the intelligence of the individual that mattered, but the capacity of the group to share and preserve knowledge. Innovation is a numbers game. The more minds we connect, the faster the sparks of genius fly. It is our massive global web of interaction. We didn't build semiconductors or artificial intelligence because we are individually smarter than our ancestors. We did it because we are part of a colossal collective brain. This vast network allows us to pool our wisdom, making the impossible possible through the power of 1 billion connected minds. In contrast, the Tasmanian Aborigines, who were isolated for 10,000 years, even lost the technologies they once had and saw their culture regress. Because the population was too small and isolated to maintain their collective brain, their knowledge base shrank over time. No human is an island. Our strength doesn't come from standing alone, but from weaving our minds together. We thrive only when we embrace diversity and open our doors to different cultures. By connecting across boundaries and sharing our unique perspectives, we fuel the collective engine that drives humanity forward. Together, we don't just survive, we conquer the impossible. But look around. The world is spiraling backward. Putin's Russia refuses to silence the guns in Ukraine. And after striking Venezuela, Trump's America has plunged into war with Iran. The global giants are abandoning the very cooperation that built our world, choosing instead to return to the raw, animal instinct of might makes right. We are risking our collective future by trading the wisdom of our shared civilization for the primitive logic of the fist. Alone, we are just fragile primates, defenseless against the wild. But once we connect, we become a force that rules the planet. The secret of our success isn't the gray matter inside a single skull. It's the collective brain fueled by the culture flowing between us. It is time to silence the drums of war and open the doors of communication. Only by weaving our diverse minds together can we continue to build a brilliant, creative civilization and keep making the impossible possible. As Joseph Henrich reveals, we didn't conquer the world because we were born geniuses. Our true superpower is cumulative cultural evolution. We are masters of taking a good idea, mimicking it, and stacking our own improvements on top. This collective brain is why connection and cooperation are our greatest survival tools. Curious to dive deeper? Check out the book we explored today here at Starlight Library. Like and subscribe to expand the network. See you in the next chapter of Starlight Library.